Hello, everybody. Welcome to the NUFC360 podcast. My name is Will Dixon. We're joined by Mark and we are joined by Rob today. It is a... I think I've already clocked that. I've got that.
It's okay. You can call me Rob anyway.
Anyway, it's just a fluster of news this week. It's only Wednesday and we've got enough topics to cover, I think, the whole summer. But anyway, in this rendition, we're going to be talking about a new home shirt. We're going to be talking about transfers in a few different ways as well. Of course, there was some pretty big transfer news from Newcastle just today. But as I said, there's been so much we could go off in the last few days. I mean, we could probably fill about 2 hours if you like here. But yeah, anyway, before we start on the main topics, we're actually going to talk about a player who's departed, Isaac Hayden. It was announced that he's gone to Norwich on an initial loan deal with an obligation to buy should they get promoted. Mark, if you want to start us off here, Isaac Hayden leaving the club, what's your reaction?
It's sort of sad in a sense, but it was inevitable because if you look at the midfielders that we've got now, he's not up to the level of them. There's five in front of him, so he's not going to get the game time. Yeah, reality, we might even look at bringing more in. So it just wasn't going to be suitable for him, and I think he probably needed a fresh start. I think he's probably done in his comments there that this was a special club for him. He's loved every minute here, and he'll probably always be a Newcastle fan. I think Norwich have got one hell of a player. Whether or not Newcastle fans all those years ago at Cardiff, felt that way is questionable. Even though I defended him back then and took a lot of stick for it. Glad that I was proven right in the long run, but he's been like a model professional. He's just got on with the job. He hasn't whinged. He hasn't complained. He hasn't sort of like been an issue with managers and that. He's just got on with the job and worked hard. And like I said, Norwich have got one heck of a player on their hands.
Yeah. I mean, Ben, he arrived in 2016 after we got relegated to the Championship, and he's pretty much been a consistent first teamer ever since. I mean, I think it's been 5 years, 5 and a bit years, really, because he, of course, wasn't included in the squad in the second half of this season. But he's been a really good servant to the club, in my view.
I mean, I think you both hit the nail on the head. And I think as well, he went through a pretty tough time whilst he was with us for personal reasons as well. So to come back from adversity and harsh critics at times as well, and to still be able to put in the performances he did in the end and work so hard for the club and be such a loyal servant throughout a good, was that 6 years then at the club? And like you say, for the level of Norwich in the Championship, I think I've seen a lot of Norwich fans talk about how he'll fill potentially a void in their midfield where they needed a hard-attacking midfielder, and just adding another ex-Newcastle player going to Norwich, which is fantastic when they play Sunderland. But no, I wish him nothing but the best. I think he'll definitely be back up at St James's Park, hopefully, when we start winning trophies as well. But I don't think there's been such a loyal servant in the past few years, but especially when even around 2016 time where we had the likes of Sissoko and Wijnaldum and people that were jumping ship or perhaps not putting in the effort that a lot of players would do, like Hayden, and to stick with us through the Championship and like you say, develop himself as a key player during that campaign, as well as future campaigns as well. I mean, I remember that goal against Chelsea. That was something else in such a tight game as well.
So does that guy that got whacked by Matt Ritchie's corner flag.
Very memorable for one way or the other. But I'm sure he wouldn't have mattered too much for the last minute winner. But yeah, it was a brilliant day for that game, and I wish him nothing but the best for the future as well.
And I also think he cost about, was it 2.5 million?
He was cheap.
I think that was the fee. So yeah, a bargain at that.
Yeah, it was for a very tumultuous period, and sadly won't gets part of hopefully a brighter future for Newcastle. But Isaac, if you're watching, we thank you for your service. We really appreciate it, and best of luck for the future of your career. Right, into one of the many topics, that we could have picked for today. We've got a new home shirt. got a new home shirt after much speculation, particularly what was going to be on the front of that shirt. We can report that it was Fun 88 in the end. I mean, guys, give me your initial impression. What do you think of it?
Oh, I love it, mate. I think it's quality. And I've heard, obviously, the replicas are going to have the embroidered badge, which is even better. And it just motivates me even more to get this year's shirt. I don't think I actually got last year's. But it's proper block, black and white.
No, you got Sunderland.
This reference every week. But no, I think it's back to proper black and white, and I love it, really. I think there's nothing that I can't not be excited about at the club at the moment, even the home kit coming back. And I really don't mind the air sponsors as much as some other accounts may disagree with it. I think the blue actually goes quite well on it, and I think in previous years we have, I mean, the likes of Wonga and things like that. If we look back at some of the terrible sponsors we have had, it's not quite brown ale, but it's it's definitely up there, and I'm pleased with how nice it actually is as well. And to have Bruno as the main star, of course you've got to have him, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, Mark, it's clean, it's crisp. There's no buttons, no collar. Classic shirt, as that's definitely my preference when it comes to football kits. What do you think of it?
Well, it's an improvement because there's no 4 on the front of it, so that's it. Yeah,
Oh, no,
an improvement straight off.
Not again.
4th
best team in the second half of the season. That's what it meant the whole time.
I love it. It's sort of like a nod. I know I've seen a few people talk about it today, but like a nod to the 87-88 season kit. It's got more stripes now. I always believe in Newcastle kit should have more stripes then, especially the one that was there last season. The fact that they are putting an embroidered badge on the replica shows that they have listened. I'm sure it's something to do with player comfort or why it's not going to be embroidered on their versions, but it just looks so good. And yeah, they've listened. But I even like the blue of the Castore logo. Yeah, the detail in that they didn't just go the black that they did last year. They sort of like went in like with the blue colour, and I just think it steps up. In terms of the logo, I'm really not bothered. People say, "Oh, it's too big." Well, yeah, a logo's supposed to be big. That's what they're paying the big money for, to have their sponsorship visible. You're not exactly going to have it in tiny print, so no one can see it. And from the reports that we're seeing from Mark Douglas in the Eye newspaper, this is the last season with Fun 88 anyway.
Yeah, I saw a comment there about having gambling on football shirts as well. It's quite an interesting point, I thought. I don't know what you guys think about like gambling on football shirts. I know there's potentially going to be a ban on them anyway. There was rumours of that flying around in the Premier League. So what do you guys think of the gambling thing?
But there's gambling shops in the high street. You ban gambling shops in the high street because people can still, if you can see a logo for them in a high street, what's the difference on a football pitch? And if they don't have them on the kit, they might still have them on the hoardings. So, you're never really going to get away with it. It might change, so it might be something that changes. I think probably what players, especially into keeping Fun 88 for this season, especially, is that the government haven't yet put any legislation in for it. I think if they had, you might be looking at a different story, because then Newcastle probably would have had the leverage to end that deal, because there was a legislation against it. Because there's no legislation, there's no real push for that. And let's why not take your time? Why not say, look, let's have Fun 88, Whilst you might not like the logo, they've got a cracking social media banner. So that's the one thing, will the next sponsorship have that? But let's enjoy it. The sponsor's not too bad. The kit, I think, is probably one of the best we've had for a while. And we will on the blue and yellow and the Saudi away kit next.
Yeah, got all to come still. But no, I think it's I mean, gambling in football, I think it goes much deeper than it does just what's on the front of the shirt. I mean, you talk about, I think one of the main talking points is kind of adverts in between games that you see on Sky and on BT, and that's, so I think it'll fall under, if in the future there is legislation brought in about how much you can show, or whether clubs can have official gambling partners, like I think they already do, but they just can't be on the front of the shirt. Maybe is something that they go down. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But I mean, Ben, this was for me. I just love this shirt, and I think I'll love it forever, just because everybody, all the in the knows and all that, said it was going to be Saudi Air and it'll be Aramco and it'll be this, and all of them were wrong. It turns out, all of them.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
didn't know.
it was very amusing, I have to say. I think I was saying this before when you've got journalists coming out and trying to obviously investigate and things like that, and not putting them eggs in one basket, so to speak, and rightfully so. I mean, that's the problem with those accounts. I think have decided to chuck everything in, saying there was certainty, and then changing their mind and saying they were right all along. Which is, I mean, it's a bit ludicrous at times, but it's hilarious to watch at the moment. So I do agree. It's unbelievable how much they got wrong, to be fair, overall. It's quite unbelievable.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's been an interesting time speculating what's going to be on the front of the shirt. But yes, let us know what you think in the comments below on this video. We're going to move on now to our next topic. And this is an interesting one. I remember when Mark told me about this, I thought this is going to be an interesting one to talk about. And it's kind of relates to what we've seen today. So do fans need to start lowering their expectations when it comes to the transfer window? And today, very much out of the blue, I think it was only this morning when it was said that Matt Targett was going to come through the door and we were going to make that deal permanent. Again, we saw a lot of in the nose again, once more saying Matt Targett, no way he was coming back to Newcastle. He's preparing for a move to Fulham. And today, Newcastle very, very quickly, it seemed they got the deal done very sharpish. They complete the deal for a total of £15 million. We paid $3 million in January to have him on loan for 6 months. $12 million has now been paid to make it permanent. He signed a 4-year deal at St James's Park. Ben, we'll start with you. Just tell me what you think about Matt Targett as a signing, and was that the right decision from the club to make that loan permanent?
I think it was absolutely spot on. I think in terms of a first transfer, it was always going to be him because of being in contact with the club obviously so much, and it tends to be the case with loan players whenever they obviously swap over. I think the only time we had a bit of a scare that he potentially wouldn't stay is obviously due to his girlfriend's post, actually, which was a strange way to potentially find out about a transfer. But generally, it was just it's an A-star signing for us. I think he slots not only well like with these qualities, but also as well with the team, and obviously he loves the club, and that's the main thing for us. I think at the moment is shopping for players that we know fits the mold, and we know fits what Eddie Howe wants to do as well, and he wants a team full of sorry, I'm just reading this comment. Yeah, I think I mean it's good to be linked to all those European high players. I generally think as fan base we haven't blown out of proportion, and I think being realistic, looking at the comments from the Targett signing, it's incredible. You can see how pleased everyone actually is. He wanted to be at the club. All his teammates wanted to stay here as well. So for me, it was an absolutely no-brainer to go out and get him for 12 million as well. I mean, a combination of 25 million or something between Trippier and Targett. Is that right? Maybe I'm a bit off with the numbers there.
Probably not too much bigger. I mean,
yeah, 27.
But combined, it's less than Digne. Is that right as well? I'm sure. I don't know again. But yeah, so to get that much quality and that much certainty in the team early on is fantastic. And from me, A-star, like I said.
I mean, Mark, it was left back wise, it was Renan Lodi was the one that was talked about the most, and a big move from Atletico Madrid. Probably would have cost between 30 and 40. Obviously scored in the Champions League at Man United and Old Trafford. Do you think there are some fans out there that are sort of shooting too high for where we are? I mean, this is only really the first season and the first opportunity we've got to spend very big money and rebuild the squad, or do you think we need to take this a bit slower?
I do certainly think there's quite a few fans, especially when the talk was of Matt Targett, we're not going from probably all in the know saying that we weren't going from, so fans were going with that, and that we're definitely going for Lodi. Yeah, fans need to remember, yes, we may be owned by PIF, who are, in terms of monetary aspects, or wealth, vastly, richer than all the other owners. As a club, we are not. And we don't have that money. We've got to spend the money that the club's generating. And at the moment, we're not at the levels, that you're going to see, probably even the levels financially of Aston Villa to an extent, because they've had probably a little bit longer to build that up. And we've had a previous owner that didn't like to spend money or create that much money for the club. So that's the thing that we need to look, and we need to temper our expectations of that. Yeah, everyone talks about FFP and blah, 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 and we've got all this money. We don't have all this money. We have probably a very limited amount, which is why the club's probably boxing clever and going, well, do you know what? Let's go 12 million for Matt Target. He's proven he can do it. Probably only in the Spurs game and the Man City game where you've really sort of like found wanting, but then again, the rest of the team were as well. So you can't really put the blame on them. But other than that, he's really, really good. And to be fair, I can probably see the way that Villa fans are sort of like being quite negative towards him. I think that sort of indicates that he is a good player, but Villa fans are just too arrogant and up their own arses to realise, to admit that. And that's why they're going down the lines of, I think they're probably a little bit annoyed as well that he's only went for 12 million in essence, because if you paid the 3 million loan fee, so this is, the loan fee covered the 6 months. This is now a 12 million pound fee. I think that's an absolute steal. For a player like that. And I think Aston Villa probably now kicking themselves, because they're probably sitting there thinking, probably could have doubled what we're asking for him if I hadn't put that in the agreement. So I just think the staff, but it's a case of, let's be realistic. We're still going to spend more than we did under Ashley, and we're probably still going to sign more than we did under Ashley. But this isn't something where it's just going to be, we're going to spend hundreds of millions and stuff like that. That isn't how it's going to work. We've got to build it up. We mentioned sponsorship. Those are the things. So whether or not this rumoured Visit Botswana deal for the shirt sleeve is going to come off, but that's like an extra income. Whether or not, obviously, will then increase the income next season. There's also talk of like potential, even like the Ekatike deal that's coming in. That we're trying to do that as a smaller upfront fee and then paying it over in installments, because that's to try and get around the fact that we're probably going to have to pay bigger prices for players, but we're going to have to do it in installments. Just one of those things of, let's not, yes, we're all giddy and excited because we've got great owners and great wealth, but we're not there as a club yet.
I mean, I was looking at, Mark, I'll stick with you for this. I was looking at a kind of Newcastle dream transfer thing, and I was looking, Renan Lodi was linked a lot, Paqueta was linked a lot, Botman, we'll get onto him in a bit, Diaby, a striker as well. If you're putting all that together, that's about 200 million quid's worth of playing, and I think the max return you get of our saleable assets, if you want to go with that, is probably about 40, which maths
well, you've lost one in
after 100 million in January as well. It just doesn't square up, does it?
No, well, you've lost a saleable asset in Hayden in essence for this season, especially because he's gone on loan. How much you get for someone like Dwight Gale? Probably minimal. Kieran Clark, probably minimal. We probably have to pay them to take him. Federico Fernandez is probably someone who's probably more than likely to go out on a free. You're probably looking at a very minimal amount for someone like Matt Ritchie. Carl Darlow is probably a saleable asset in that sense. If we're going to do something along those lines. Jamal Lewis, I think, is probably going to stay. And this is another thing which I've had fans go, we need to get rid of Jamal Lewis. No. He looked good, to be fair, in the few games that he had, up until I think he probably got that nickel and injury, and then that's when we went for Matt Target, and that's Lewis then sort of like went out of the picture. He's a young lad. He was being touted by Liverpool at a point when he was at Norwich, so he's not a bad player. He just was coached bad. Under the previous management. He's now got Eddie Howe. He's now got a full pre-season, and he's got his fitness back up there. So we need to keep him, because the other thing that we need to look at is we're not made of money, so we can't get rid of Lewis and then brings probably limited. We're probably going to bring maybe another 4 or 5 players in essence. So you think we've got Target in, Ekatike is probably going to be another one, so maybe another 3 or 4 after that. It's one of those things. Yeah, well, it's going to be difficult.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Ben, if we look back on the window, and obviously Target comes through the door, it's a player we already had, of course, and then maybe Ekatike comes in, but then we were linked to someone like Darwin Núñez, although it looks like he could go for it doesn't come. What would in your view be a successful transfer window for Newcastle? Realistic expectations.
I mean, obviously Target's a good start. I think in terms of strikers, I think Ekatike, Wilson, and Wood would be a good trio for now. Because again, like you say, the inflation of prices and the money's not quite there yet. So I generally think 4 players altogether, maybe covering sort of each part of the pitch, in a good quality way. Do you know what I mean? So Ekatike is obviously young, but he's got that quality, and he's what, 19, 20? So he's got plenty of time to grow alongside hopefully other young players we bring in as well. And with Dan Ashworth being brought in, obviously he might mould the way we do transfers as well, and it might make us a bit more savvy, which could definitely help. But no, I generally think a successful window, maybe not spending perhaps as much as January, but hopefully covering 3 or 4 positions where it's just strengthening each window, I think. And it's going to be progressive, and teams are going to try and pry us away from deals by charging us extra and things like that. We've just got to be smart with the way we're doing it. And obviously at the moment we have been, and in January we were as well. So I have no doubt really that once we sign the next 2 or 3 like players after that, then I'll feel confident, and anything after that is a bonus really for me.
Well, come on, to be fair to Dan Ashworth, he's only started work on Monday. He's already got rid of 1 player and signed a player.
He's working faster than the devil.
And we announced a kit. Yeah. 3 things happened in a very short space of time. Yeah, he's working.
Dan Ashworth has somehow sped everything up with the club. But no, I think we always knew we needed someone like him. Obviously, the reason why we went in January anyway. And it's someone to have that football knowledge to bridge the gap between ownership and management, and being able to bring those players in and build from the foundations, which I think maybe have struggled over the past few years. And even investing, I think, in the women's side of things as well, and trying to build up basically the club from as a whole, really, which is fantastic. Using this signing a free. I'm not quite sure about who's on a free contract, but it could definitely be an option depending on where we need to strengthen and make more versatile for the team as well.
Jesse Lingard's still available for a free. See, this is for me, and I know people are on about like DRB and stuff like, but the position that we are at the moment, and the likelihood is we can't get another striker in or whatever. But for me, my money would be on, why not bring someone like a Jesse Lingard in on a free? I think the more that he goes without like any concrete confirmation that he's getting a club, I think we'll probably see his wage demands drop a little bit.
Yeah,
so I think that'll happen there. But that's the thing. So you imagine bringing someone. You imagine if our signings end up being Sven Botman, Matt Target, Hugo Ekatike, and Jesse Lingard. Are you saying that you wouldn't be happy with that at the end of the window?
I'd be tired. It's a good window.
That would be great, wouldn't it? I think that would be a good one. And
obviously with Ekatike, he's not going to take up a squad space. So when you're looking at that, we're only bringing in 3 players that are going to need a squad space. So when you're looking at the players to go, you might be in a position where you could turn around and say, as someone like, maybe we're trying to get rid of an Almiron. Look, you don't need to go now. Yeah, so there's that sense there. There's things that you could look at in that way and go, do you know what? Let's do it. Obviously, he has another one that's just been popped out there.
Yeah,
I would love it if Ericsson came.
He was class, to be fair. Even like when he joined Brentford, like his adaptation back to the Premier League was just insanely good. Like how quickly that game against Chelsea where he just absolutely bossed them off the park. He just still has that quality, doesn't he, as a midfield player?
He has. So, there's probably other teams going, but to be honest, if there's a chance, I would probably say, bring in someone like an Eriksen. You imagine, but you also imagine like his leadership qualities as well, and that's probably something again which Eddie Howe would look at. In that sense, he's probably got the right mentality, something which I don't think Lingard may have in essence, but neither does ESM to an extent. So it might be a case that you may need to have like a couple of Mavericks in there, but the rest of the leadership to do that. So we'll throw in Eriksen. So Eriksen, Lingard, Botman, Target, and Ekatike would be a blinding window. And to be fair, you'd probably be spending under 100 million on those in that sense, and that would be like a really good window, and probably one that would push us hopefully towards like the top half.
I think it's that's a some more reason why. I mean, I think loans and frees, I think we've got to like watch out for again, and you're going to have to box smart, I think, in this window. And personally, I think Matt Target was certainly boxing smart, guaranteed starting. In terms of the problems in the Newcastle squad at the minute, left back with Targets there isn't top of your list, is it? And frankly, considering last year it took us until game 2 to get Joe Willock through the door, like I think this is remarkable progress from Dan Ashworth so far. So fair play to him. But sticking on that dream transfer list that you've got there, Mark, and this centre back Sven Botman, because his name certainly isn't going away, is it? I mean, 1 minute he's joining Milan, 1 minute he's not. We're seeing Luke Edwards today say that Newcastle are making progress. What progress that actually means, though, I'm not so sure. I've seen a few comments about Sven Botman as well. Mark, I mean, first of all, because you've actually read the article, I don't have a Telegraph subscription, so can you let the wonderful people watching know what is kind of the latest on him?
So it's one of those ones of the headlines, the grab it to get you to read the story, but then when you read the story, it's not there. So I think Newcastle are closer than they have been in terms of getting Botman, and I think there's probably a belief between the powers that be Newcastle that their offer is probably going to be a one that's going to pip Milan. So there's that there, but it's all down to the player. Now, if you think just a couple of days ago the player was making very probably flirtful glances towards Milan in an interview that he did, and there's a part of me where I'm going, I'd love to see, we could beat Milan for a price, and that might be the case. We might be offering more, and Lille might be saying, well, we're going to accept Newcastle's offer, so it's up to Milan. Milan either match that or you go in there. But is it really worth forcing a player to come to the club if his heart's not in there? That's the point for me, though, because we've probably done that with other players, and we've probably tried to bring them in. Like Michael Owen probably came in Newcastle, and he probably didn't really want to be at Newcastle. His injury record and the amount of money that he picked up probably shows that. So there is just that, in that sense, I'd love him because I think he's a great talent. But there's a part of us again where I'm going, if we're going to spend a vast amount of money on him, which we probably are going to have to get him, we want him to be certain that he's coming here and that he wants to come. Now I can understand if it's someone like Paolo Maldini at AC Milan that's wanting you. There's an attraction there. There's other things of how much do you believe in the media, because some media's going, he's nailed on for Milan, and there's others who are now saying, well, that's not going to happen. Is he going to come here? There's so many things. The one good thing is we're not getting Tarkowski, so that's the one name we can probably cross off the list there.
I mean, Ben, it's been back and forth, as I said, like over the last few weeks and really since January for Sven Botman. 1 minute, he's saying things that seem like he really wants to go to Milan. Maybe it's a case of Newcastle are making an offer that Milan can't match, and Lille, who also want to make the most money out of them, they're in financial difficulty. They're only going to take the more expensive one. Should we be going so hard in for a player, and should we be paying so much for a player that might not want to be here?
It's a good question. I think the thing is, I think Mark makes a good point. I'm not saying he's bad egg or anything like that. He might not be, because he did, after all, in January also say that he was quite conflicted between Newcastle and AC Milan. And it might be the case of he's maybe spoken more to AC Milan than he has to us, and he might not have been yet convinced to to come here. So I think maybe the decision just hasn't been made, and he's maybe conflicted, even with the flirtatious looks to AC Milan. I mean, they are obviously the champions of Italy at the moment as well. If we have spoke to him and he's trying that hard to get to AC Milan, I think we would let it go eventually. Because I like you say, I think looking out at the market at the moment, even perhaps obviously potentially Nathan Ake on loan and people like that, they might be a good fit for the Premier League. You never know. Instead of Botman, say if he did turn us down, I think I maybe think no, but we haven't had the full context, and it's all just a rumor mill at the moment. So, like I say, if we haven't spoke to him yet, or Dan Ashworth hasn't worked his magic quite yet, but I'm sure as soon as he speaks to him, he'll see the bridges, maybe more than happy to come here. But no, I think we just need more context to the situation. But if it keeps dragging on and he keeps talking about AC Milan, then we should just let it go in the end.
There is one play I would hold on for Botman for if it was the option between Botman and him, and that's Tyrone Mings. Yeah. If that was our choice, I'd rather go out go without a central defender. Than have Mings in. Yeah, because he's appalling. But you're looking like 50 million for Ake. Yeah, is he worth 50 million? Probably not. There's also talk about Lloyd Kelly. Yeah. But obviously, with Bournemouth being promoted to the Premier League, they're probably not in as bad a position as they probably were in terms of we might have got him a bit cheaper if they hadn't got promoted.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that's the problem. Then now they're being promoted, they can demand big money from him.
I mean, I don't think we'd get this person, but I would love to see someone like Connor Cody come to Newcastle, because I don't know, I just feel like he's a solid defender anyway. He's a threat from set pieces, and he's got that grit. I think that sort of again fits the mold of Eddie Howe's teams, and he's
a laugh.
Yeah, and great in the dressing room. Do you know what I mean? And another scouting.
Do you not think a 20 million bid would not tempt Wolves to sell him?
How old is he? He's 29. Late 20s, I think, Connor Cody.
Yeah,
England international.
But he's an England international. He's been a rock at the back for Wolves, and Wolves have had quite a good defensive record.
Yeah.
The fact that you think, you bring him into a central defence, you imagine like Dan Burn and Connor Cody at the back. It'd be like and then obviously you've got Target and Trippier. You basically got your England backline for the World Cups. Right there.
Yeah. I mean, Mark, is it? I think you kind of did touch on it a little bit there, but if it's not going to be Botman, say he picks AC Milan, there hasn't really been any other standout names. No Nathan Ake's been linked. How plausible that is, I don't know. Would you be happy with Burn and Shah? I mean, I think they were solid enough, and our defensive record improved enormously with those two. But then there were moments when it was a bit shaky.
Yeah, someone made a good point.
Putting the three at the back as well. You're kind of looking about who.
Can I point out though that was the same comment that was said about Fabian Shaw?
Yeah. So is Burn and Shaw good enough for the next season?
The problem is Burn and Shaw could be good enough. It's the fact that we'd only be left with Lascelles and Dummett as backup. And that's the one thing that worries and concerns me. Whereas if you could bring someone like a Cody or a Botman or whatever in, and you've got either Shaw or Burn or whatever as a backup along with Lascelles, then that's an area where I'm a little bit more comfortable at. Yeah.
Do you think it would depend on opponents as well? Because obviously some teams our defense might suit better against some more physical teams with, I don't know, say Burn and Cody there, or like, do you think it would depend on opponent?
Well, that's the thing though. Someone like we'll go with a bit. I know Burnley's not in there, but like a Burnley, where they're quite physical and they're quite powerful in terms of your front line. You'd probably be better with someone like a Burn and maybe a Cody, and then maybe with other teams like a Brighton who maybe could play a bit more. your Shaw's probably a bit like that, but you also need to look at the fact that we may see points where we're needing to put 3 in the back line for certain games. I certainly think we'll probably need to play 3 at the back when we're playing teams like probably Chelsea or Liverpool or Spurs or Man City, those sort of sides like that. And if we're going to do that, then we're going to need to get an extra defender in there. But I'm sure the club's probably got names that are on, that we don't even know about, or even some of the in the knows, because they seem to know a lot. But it's one of those things. So I'm sure we'll get there. Yeah, we need to remember it's only June. The transfer window hasn't technically opened yet.
No.
Even though I know players will go, no, well, Villa have signed 3. Yeah, so what, they've signed a reject centre back that we tried to go for in January, but then went for Burn and made a decision that he probably wasn't a player that would need moving forward. So I think it was one of the ones he was a target in January, but when it comes to the summer, he wasn't. I think the same they went with, again, Villa fans just seem, they're just a winders up there.
You're one about Villa fans at the minute, Mark, aren't you?
Well, no, because I actually think they've been quite distasteful to Matt Targett, who was a very loyal, player for them while he was there, and didn't say anything, didn't whinge, didn't complain. But when he was probably told by Steve Gerrard that he probably isn't going to be playing much football, he's went, well, I want to get regular football. Send it out, and if Aston Villa were quite happy to send him out for that, then fine. Should you say, look, thank you for your service. Good luck at Newcastle. We'll get on with Digne. Yeah, that's it. Like we did with Hayden. We're classy. Yeah. But I'll trust in the process because, like I said, if we look at the January transfer window, and this is the other thing, we signed Trippier very fast, a bit like probably with Target, but then nothing, and then it's sort of like sped up the end. Yeah, we've still got probably nearly all of June to go, and that's probably before the players are even back for like the pre-season training and warm-ups and that. And then you've got July before the season even, so we've got like 2 full months. It's gonna take time. Let's just trust in the thing. I think with Dan Ashworth being here now, I think that'll probably help because he's probably more used to the negotiation aspect of it, so he can probably help the club in that sense, where it's probably just been done solely by the likes of Amanda and Jamie and Merdad. So let's just trust the process. I think given how well we did in the January transfer window, I think that's the least that's deserved of them, to be fair.
Yeah.
Okay, well, to round this out, I want a prediction from both of you. We'll start with you, Ben. Do you think Botman will be a Newcastle player come August?
I'm going to say no. I maybe a bit pessimistic, but just because it's going on for that long, usually when rumours fly around for that long, it just puts doubt in my mind that when you're going up against someone like AC Milan, I mean, don't get us wrong. I know we've got power now in the transfer window, but you cannot rule out speaking to Paolo Maldini as being a big influence. And obviously,
we've got Shola Amiobi.
Yeah, I mean, meeting Shola Amiobi, in comparison to Paolo Maldini, but
a fan of Fabrizio Colaccini.
Do you like Greg's? No, but I'm gonna say no. But I think we'll do well still in the transfer window. I've got no doubt. I've got full faith in the next few months.
Mm-hmm. Mark, what do you think?
I'm gonna say no as well.
Okay, interesting.
Just because, there's just something in the back of me where I'm going, I think his heart's set on Milan, and if players have power, and if they really want the move, they'll get it essentially, even if Milan are offering less. Yeah, his option will be, but look, either sell us to Milan, or you're going to be kept with an unhappy player. Yeah, so that's the sense, and I think the agents will push that as well. So, but you then look at I think was it Spurs and Man U now being named in that there. Whether or not that's just deployed by the club to try and get more interest in there or get the fee up, I don't know. But if he's that highly rated, you'll probably see big clubs come in for him if they think they've got a chance. And I'm just not confident on that one.
Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting. I mean, it's a very difficult decision. Serie A champions, 11th in the Premier League. You know, it's one's in the Champions League, and one will maybe challenge for Europa Conference next season. You don't know. We'll wait and see. But anyway, guys, thank you so much. Very interesting discussion. Me and Ben got on first name basis. My little slip up at the start, so apologies for that. But thank you so much, guys, for giving your thoughts on that, and thanks so much for so many comments today. Great to see what you guys have got to say. Some interesting shouts in there. What was that one? Podence might be a good shout for the squad. Possibly. I mean, it's quite optimistic. I think Podence is quite highly rated at Wolves. I'm not sure. Interesting one. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for all your comments and for watching along to the NUFC 360 podcast. We will be back next week, no doubt. Lots of stuff will have happened, as it always does with Newcastle, which is good news for us. Lots to talk about until the football returns, ready for pre-season in July. So, Ben, Mark, thank you so much for today. Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.